I gotta say, not a lot of people look forward to being in labor. So the idea that you could shorten it a little bit is very appealing to a lot of people. And today I'm gonna share 6 things that you can do to make your labor shorter, or mistakes you're doing that would make your labor longer. In case we haven't met, hello, I'm Hillary. I'm the pregnancy nurse. I've been a nurse since 1997. I have 20 years of labor and delivery experience, and I had 3 kids of my own. So today I'm speaking from my own experience, as well as thousands of patients that I've seen deliver their baby. Okay, the first thing that a lot of people do is not use movement to their advantage. Now, there are 2 times that you're going to want to use movement. It is during pregnancy and also during labor. So during pregnancy, do your squats, do lateral movements, really do the workout. So many of us are stuck in chairs. It is really not doing us any favors when we go to labor, and our legs need to be in a position to open that pelvis and get the baby out. So I would encourage you to do squats. I would also encourage you that if you have pelvic pain, touch base with a physical therapist to make sure that you're not doing movements that could make that worse. Okay, now during labor, how can you move to get things going? Of course, in early labor, there's lots of times that you should be moving. I think this is one of the best ways to get your partner involved in labor. They can be the one that remind you every half an hour when you are not asleep, which we're going to talk about in a minute, to move. Now, it doesn't mean that you got to do lunges for a whole half an hour. I'm just saying if you're on one side and you're resting, you turn to the other side, or you add a big stack of pillows, or I love to use a beanbag between my legs when I'm at home. Moving during early labor can really help things progress quicker because it helps baby find their way down into your birth canal. Now, once you get to the hospital, you might be planning on an epidural. There are still lots of ways that you can move even with an epidural. So tell your nurse that you really want to promote movement, volunteer your partner so that they can get in there and help you move as well. It is really hard for the nurse to move her entirely on her own. So the more that your partner can help and you can help, that's right. Even if your legs are feeling a little bit numb, I really encourage you guys to try and move, because your effort in trying to do those movements also can help open that pelvis and get the baby down faster. Now, a lot of you are like, what position should I be in? And in the hospital, I think your nurse is going to be the expert that you're going to use. But when you are at home, I actually have labor movement cards in the online prenatal class for couples that I think people find very helpful. Just goes through a lot of different movements, and it's great for partners so that they can get some ideas to help you move when you're in early labor at home. Okay, the second thing is not using sleep during labor. So many people start to have consistent contractions and they just get excited and they're wanting to time them, and partners are wanting to time them, right? This is all of a sudden they're like, great, I can time. That's something I can do. But if you can take that time to sleep in early labor, I cannot tell you how much you're going to appreciate it later on. This is actually one of the main things that I hear moms who have 2nd and 3rd, 4th, 5th babies say, that they wish they had slept better in early labor and they plan to sleep better with this next baby. One of my best tips is to use a heating pad. I like the microwavable kind because they cool off as you sleep. Put that on an area that hurts, your back, your hips. You do not want to drape it over your belly, but try and just get some rest. But when you're not sleeping, make sure that you're moving. So it's a fine line. But we all just sort of rest our eyes. And when you're doing that, still keep moving every half an hour. The one thing I don't want you to sleep on is liking this video. It really helps my channel grow. And as you can see, we've got some growing to do. And if you're looking for more helpful pregnancy, labor, birth, postpartum tips, subscribe so that we can hang out together again. Okay, the third thing that you are doing is not preparing your cervix. Now, for a long time, we've just acted like Mother Nature was going to do this job for you. She would prepare your cervix for you. But in looking at some studies, I really found some ways that can help prepare your cervix for labor. Now, I have a whole video on it, but let me give you the Cliff Notes version of it. The first thing you can do is dates. Now, these are all things that you're going to want to start about a month before your due date. In the studies, the people were eating about 6 dates starting at about 36 weeks of pregnancy. So that's a lot of dates. You're going to want to buy that bag at Costco. But it did show that people who ate those dates had a more favorable cervix when they came into labor and delivery, meaning your cervix is more soft. It's a little more open. It's just ready for labor. The second thing that I found really interesting was primrose oil. It did something really similarly. Again, with all of these, you're going to want to talk with your provider before you're doing them. With dates, if you're diabetic, it's not a great idea. There are specific contraindications of primrose oil, previous mental health concerns, any concerns with platelets. So you're going to want to talk with them before you do any of these things. But studies have shown that they can help soften your cervix. The third thing is sexy time. So I'm not saying you have to do it every night, but the studies do show that people who have it 2 to 3 times a week during that last month of pregnancy, their cervix was a little bit more softer when they came into labor and delivery. Now, of course, you also don't have to do all these things. So if one of these things you're like, no, then don't do it. I think that a lot of times we spend time preparing our cervix in a way that makes us miserable, and that doesn't help the oxytocin flow in our system. So I would encourage you to find the ones that work for you. The fourth thing is pumping or stimulation of this area of your body. Now I'm going to let you watch that full video for more information on that. But it has shown to help soften your cervix, and it may kick things into labor more if you're in early labor at home. So check out the studies on that one as well. The fourth thing, which you might be doing, Hillary did this, so I'm speaking from experience, was delaying them breaking your water. I was so worried that if they broke my water that I would end up with a C-section. I just kept putting it off, and I just sat there in labor forever until they broke my water, and then things moved very, very quickly. Now, I am not a fan of them breaking your water in early labor. That means before 4 to 6 centimeters. Sometimes it's necessary, but if you're past 6 centimeters and you're still pushing off them breaking your water, I'm going to ask you why. And I would encourage you to have that conversation with your provider, because I do think that when they break your water at that point, sometimes then the baby's head is able to engage into the pelvis instead of just a squishy water balloon. So as you can imagine, this helps to open the cervix a little bit more than the squishy water balloon that is your amniotic sac. Pro tip: when you go to the hospital and your provider, it's got to be your doctor or midwife, nurses can't do this, they're checking your cervix. I don't think it's a bad idea to say, hey, are you planning to bring my water while you're in there? Because I'm not happy about this, but there are many providers that do not ask before they break your water. So if you want to be that informed patient who is making choices for themselves, I would encourage you to ask your provider about that before they get in there. The fifth thing that might be delaying your labor is not getting prepared before birth. As I said before, we've got to get this oxytocin flowing in our system. And if you are there worried about labor, worried about your provider, every single thing that comes during labor is a surprise and it's just freaking you out. Think like Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios. We don't want surprises when you're in labor. If you get prepared, you will know what is coming up. So it's not all of these surprises that you're slowly just like holding a giant stack of surprises. Instead, if you get prepared, you're prepared for every little thing. In fact, even the admission process freaks people out because the hospital is weird. I'm the first one to say that. But learning what to expect during labor is so important. Studies show that a lot of birth classes fall short. A lot of them only prepare you for the basic stages of labor, breathing during pain. A lot of them are very pain management focused, when in reality, most people really need to know about the interventions during labor. So we're talking about nurses running in your room if baby's heart rate goes down, which is not unusual, C-sections, inductions. We need to know about all of those things so that we can make great choices when we're in labor. I would encourage you to take a class that covers those as well. Of course, I have one of the first birth classes that was launched for hospitals. It's called the Online Prenatal Class for Couples. It can be done in just 3 hours. It is meant to prepare your partner to be a teammate instead of just a cheerleader, and it starts at a really great price point. I'm not here to milk you out of your funds. I know you have a lot of onesies to buy, so check out the Online Prenatal Class for Couples. I'll put that link in the show notes. Okay, number 6 is you want to go into the hospital as late as possible. Now, I'm not saying that you want the baby to be crowning. You definitely don't want to deliver your baby in the car, because I don't know how cars come back from that. But so many people come into labor and delivery really, really early, and they want to stay in labor and delivery and labor there. Now, I understand that it can be scary, but I think that getting prepared with something like the Online Prenatal Class for Couples can really help you labor longer at home, which can speed things along, because again, at home, you can let that oxytocin flow because you can eat a brownie. You can lay on your much more comfortable bed however you want. You're around your people and your smells and your things, and you can just do what you want to do at home. Versus when you come into the hospital, we are going to put that baby on the monitor. We're going to ask you 9 million questions. And as you can imagine, that sometimes isn't great for the oxytocin to keep flowing. So when you labor as long as you can at home and you know the time at which point you should go into the hospital, I think you are really going to labor faster beginning to end. So really quick, let's review those 6 points. Using movement, both during pregnancy and during labor. Make sure that you're sleeping. Make sure that you're preparing your cervix. There are ways you can do that. Don't delay that water breaking, get prepared, and stay at home in early labor so you can labor with your people, your things, and just be so much more comfortable. Thanks for joining me. I hope you'll come join me in the Online Prenatal Class for Couples, where we prepare you from bump to bassinet. It is truly the easy way to get prepared for your upcoming hospital birth. And I think I've got a few other videos that you might like around here as well.